Welcome to Idea Tennis, where we challenge ideas, elevate thinking, and serve up conversation that make you question everything. The question is, are you choosing discipline or are you being chosen by distraction?
You can't be either or. You can't live a life filled with distraction and expect to live a life of purpose. And you can't also live a life of pure discipline, because where is the joy? Where is the joy? You can't have that hustle and grind life every single day. I don't care who you are and what you want to do. It's just not healthy. Regret lasts a lifetime. And to live a life of regret is to not live life. I think in the next 24 hours, I'm going to challenge our audience to find one moment to become or be more disciplined in a particular area of their life. And one moment to embrace distraction, to allow the room and space for creativity and joy that's unplanned, spontaneous, that serves you to be able to fuel you to remain disciplined to what it is that you want.
Is it so hard to stay disciplined when distractions are everywhere? If you've ever set a goal only to find yourself pulled in 100 different directions, this episode is for you. Today, we are breaking down the battle between discipline and distraction, what it really means, how it shows up in your life, and how you can finally take control. What if I told you that your biggest enemy isn't a lack of motivation, it's distraction? We all want more discipline, but discipline isn't about wanting, it's about choosing. The real question is, are you choosing discipline or are you being chosen by distraction? Let's get into it. By the end of this episode, you will know the real difference between discipline and distraction and why it matters. You will have a simple framework to recognize when you're slipping into distraction and how to pull yourself back, and you will feel more control of your focus, your habits, and your time. Jessica, we get to do this, my friend. We get to come here and talk to the people that like to hear us. How are you doing, Lainey?
I'm fabulous. I love this conversation because discipline and distraction, they're two forces that shape our lives. One is considered a virtue, discipline, and the other is considered a vice, distraction. But what if they actually both serve us in ways that we don't recognize? It's why this is such a great conversation, because they both have negative and positive connotation. They both serve us. And yes, they both distract us from what it is that we're going after. But sometimes distractions can be good. Sometimes discipline is not what you only need to get to where you want to go. But discipline, for me, and those of you who have been listening for a while know, I consider myself a very disciplined person. I run off of schedules, my calendar. I don't end my day until I've gotten all the things done on my get done list. And while that discipline has served me well over the years, it also sometimes is limiting to me. And I think for a lot of people, yes, you need discipline, but you also need to know when to leave room for other things, flexibility, when sometimes something that serves as a distraction is sometimes the rerouting of what you have planned for what I believe God has planned for you. How do you navigate the two in a way that serve you and not hurt you? How do you deal with discipline and distraction in your life?
Well, let me tell you, distraction is real. Let me tell you this. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I get easily distracted. They talk about the shiny object syndrome thingy.
Yeah.
I actually got that one, like, no doubt. So I'm not going to tell you that, it's easy for me to stay focused because I get easily distracted. And one of the reasons why I get easily distracted because I'm a very curious person. I'm always like, okay, how do you do that? What is that? Like, how do you... So I'm always thinking about that stuff. I'm going to tell you how distracted I get sometimes. I'm sitting on here, I'm like, man, I forget my headphone upstairs. I'm like, I'm going to go upstairs, go get my headphones. But while I'm going upstairs, I feel like I need to use the bathroom. So I went upstairs, I go use the bathroom, and I come back down like, damn, what did I go upstairs for? Oh, to get the headphones. So on my way to get the thing I need, I get distracted. So it happens a lot for me. But here's the thing. I recognize that in myself. So I decided that I'm going to focus on when I say I'm going to do something. The thing is, I don't quit on the thing, because when it comes back to discipline, is all about what is it that you're pursuing and what's going to take you off course, and you're going to quit because you got distracted. I'm going to go back and get the thing done and get the thing done. But I'm a very disciplined person, because people always say, Asher, how you get so much stuff done? Because I'm relentless, my friend. When I set my eyes on something, I'm gonna get it. If I say that lady, I want that lady. If you take me 3 years to get her, I'm gonna get her. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna go after it little by little, right? But it's all about how persistent or consistent I am after the thing that I'm working on. But yeah, I can get distracted very easy. I got a lot of stories in distraction. We can talk about it all day, Jess. But I still get a lot done.
Distraction is real for a lot of people. Don't misunderstand that you're not the only one that gets distracted and veered off course. Discipline leads to habit, consistency. Discipline gives direction, but discipline could also create burnout. Discipline sometimes lacks creativity. Discipline, when you're too rigid, you don't leave room for what if, you don't leave room for the possibility. Discipline can serve us for greatness. When you think about when you want to achieve success and any goals that you have set, discipline is required. You want to get to the end result of where you're going, you need to be disciplined of, yes, the shiny object is dangling in front of me and I want to go to it. It looks so pretty, so nice, but it's taking you away from your purpose. It's taking you away from what you want to achieve. You think about legends, and I'm going to use Kobe Bryant as an example. I love the Mamba mindset that he had, and he was disciplined. He set a goal. He decided what he needed to do. He woke up every day at 4 a.m. because he was disciplined enough to know what he wanted to achieve. In that discipline, he was able to achieve that greatness that he desired. But in that discipline, he also didn't leave room for the other things that mattered in his life. And when you become singularly focused on what it is that you want, what are you giving up to get there? And sometimes, yes, sacrifice is required for success. And we've had that part of our conversation in the past, but leaving room for fullness, I think, needs to have a space and room for also distractions, things that serve you. I mentioned that someone paid me for a day of coaching. And in that day of coaching, we got a lot of work done. But then there was a distraction, and we're like, all right, let's do some self-care. Let's do some self-care in the middle of this business day. The distraction served us both well because we got to relax. The focus was no longer on what it was that we were working on, the business part. We got to let our guard down and allow room. The self-care impacts people in so many different ways, but it also allowed us to get even more focused and more disciplined on, we want more of this self-care in our life. We want more of this time to do the things that we enjoy, that we love, that refill our cup and energize us. Sometimes you need to be flexible enough to know that there are things that some people may see as a distraction that wasn't part of the plan today, but it served us well. And how do you find the balance of allowing in the things to distract you that help with your physical and mental well-being, while also remaining disciplined to the things that you want? How do you find that balance? How do you find that balance, Asher?
First, I'm gonna define this real quick because when you think about distraction, oftentimes what follow distraction is a lot of regret. And if you can talk yourself into, I'm not gonna regret because I got distracted, because I know I'm a person that needs to get distracted, right? But every day I'm gonna put effort into making sure I've put system in place to stay disciplined. So I'm telling you this, I'm very disciplined as well. As much as I'm distracted, I'm very disciplined. But here's something you gotta think about the person itself. Because I'm very creative minded, I don't beat myself up for my distraction, because oftentimes they took me like, oh, I just noticed something else, right? And I write it down because I keep log of what I experience. But I have a routine. Like when I was in the military, for example, right? I was in the military. It takes a lot of discipline. And I love the routine of getting up every day and go work out. The first thing you do, you go work out, right? And I realized how important that is once I stopped. When I retired from the military, I'm like, damn, I don't get up and work out like I used to. but I don't have to because I'm not burning that much energy. But it made me realize how much routine are important. The habits, the thing you build in place to keep you disciplined. If you don't have those, you would get distracted. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. My routine is I get up in the morning, I go work out, and then I go to work. Right, I do the hard things first because working out is not easy, my friend. It's a habit that will you put on the back burner if you get an opportunity to do it. So I understand that process. But I have a system that you do every day. That's my routine. I'm gonna get up, do this thing, and you stick to it. When I set a routine, I stick to it. That's my discipline. I commit to it, and I commit to it every day, and I get it done. But in the midst of that, I need my room for creativity. I allow my distraction to show up. Like, okay, what is the other thing? Oh, I noticed that thing. I want to go see where that thing takes me. Or I'm on this path, I'm hiking, and I realize a little trail like offbeat. I'm like, damn, I want to go see what's down there. And I'm veered off and I go check it out. Oh, I just learned another path. But oftentimes that was happening. So I allow a little bit of room for creativity for me, but I don't beat myself for getting distracted. Oftentimes people do and they have the regret piece. Like, I didn't do that. Well, what do you learn from the distraction though? And oftentimes I learned something.
A lot of people see the distraction as the enemy, but they don't realize that sometimes the distraction is the gateway to the breakthrough. Sometimes the distraction allows you to see a different perspective, to tap into that creativity, to tap into that emotional and physical well-being. I think that when you realize that distraction doesn't always have to be negative and discipline doesn't always have to be positive. Sometimes when you are so disciplined, you don't leave the room, like I said, for what if and what's possible. You also become too rigid in the sense that it's all or nothing. And I don't think anything in life is all or nothing. I think in order to be able to grow, to have the mindset of more, and to be able to realize that community plays into the discipline and the distraction, both the negative and the positive aspects of it, the discipline of accountability in community, right? The discipline of being able to, if I give you my word that I'm going to do something, you could be sure that I'm going to get it done without the excuse of discipline. For me, I say this, I don't think I've said it before on the podcast, but an excuse is not a reason, and a reason is not an explanation. You either will or you won't. You do or you don't. It's not about if, maybe, when, I'll try. It's about a choice that you make, equally as important as having that discipline that guides you in the choices that you make. But not everyone sees it like that. How do you get the perspective of, okay, I'm disciplined because I know you are a perfect example. Here we go. Memoirs to Millions. Before we went live, I pushed your button a little bit. And I said, can we have this ready by this date? We have things we want to do. We have plans that we've laid out. And yes, life doesn't always go according to the plan because there's outside factors. But what is within our control is what we should be focused on being able to execute and do. So I put you on the spot, and you at first were a little hesitant. You were like, I think so. But then you turned it around and you were like, you know what? That's what I need. I need the date. I need to know when we need to finish this by, because there's something else that is depending on this date. You could have very well turned around and been like, I know that's what we said, but I got distracted with XYZ since the last time we agreed to that date. But you didn't. You stood firm and you were like, yes, that's what I need, the date, because that date is going to push me. It's going to push me. That mindset is not the mindset that everyone has. That mindset is not, most people would have fallen back, in my opinion, on, I know that's what we agreed, but realistically, so many things have happened in between, and other things that are beyond our control are a factor in this equation of having this done by this date. So I'm not sure I can honestly honor what we spoke about previously. I think that's the difference between the movers and the shakers of the world, the people that, their actions and their words align versus their words and their actions serving as distractions for what they want. But what motivates you, Asher? And I think that this is going to help our audience realize distractions can be positive. Discipline can be positive, but they could also be negative. How do you realize the difference between when discipline and distraction serve you?
That is a great question. Big part of my journey right now is to grow. And when there's an opportunity for me to, wait a minute, why am I hiding? Why am I pulling back? I will step up to it. Because you talk about the motivation piece. And not everybody is motivated by the same thing. Some people motivation is money. Some people motivation is power. Some people motivation is sex. Some people motivation is their health. Some people motivation is their kids. You can go on the list, right? Different motivation. My motivation is really community. So when there's an opportunity for my work to impact community, you get me motivated. If it's okay, we gotta do this thing, other thing, like the other ones are important too, but they don't really get me motivated. Because they ask the question, if you have all the money in the world, what would you still be doing? And that's a really powerful question when you think about it. Oftentimes we hear it, but we like play it out. But really, man, if I'm getting up every day, I'm doing this thing and I'm not getting paid for it, would I still do it? That's the other part of the question. And when it comes to working, helping people in the community, I would still do it without the money because that gives me some form of purpose. That feeds something inside of me. And once I understood that, okay, cool. Discipline is easy now. Committing with my word is easy now because I'm committing to something that gives me energy. It impacts other people, but it also feeds me. And that's what will be my answer.
I just got back from Miami about a week ago, and I hosted a success event retreat. And one of the exercises that we did was about dreams. The topic was vision and execution. And it surprised me how many people didn't know how to dream out loud. They didn't realize, I'm going to say this, money should never be a motivating factor for anything. Because if you chase money, you may catch up to it. You may get it for a little bit. But if your only reason for doing something is motivated by money, it won't last. It will not last. I believe that when you do something, it should be done with the heart of service. It should be, how can you solve a problem for somebody else? And when you talk about your why, being community, it's bigger than just money. And most people don't have a real understanding from money and what that is a motivating factor for people to do. People out of desperation do things for money. That's never a good place to work from. When you talk about money, I talk about never do something for money because it's really easy to walk away from something that you've never had. And most people haven't had that endless bank account. And so when life gets hard, because it always does inevitably, distractions come in and other things take your discipline in different directions, that money being the factor, it's easy to walk away from whatever it is that you're doing. But when it's more than just money, you feel a sense of accountability. You feel a sense of responsibility, that it's no longer just about a singular thing being money. For you, community, impact, being of service, same things that align for me. I think that when you think about distraction and discipline, where it is that you want to go with your life, what is it that your purpose and your path are leading you to, you need just as much discipline and distraction in order to arrive there, because the distraction allows for you to have that time for a break. How many people get burned out because they don't leave that time for a break, whether it's physically going out and going for a walk, whether it's taking time away from the computer and your tasks for the day to meditate or pray, whatever it is that creates that mojo in you, that magic inside you, that's equally as important as having discipline. But I think that people don't see how they work hand in hand. You can't be either or. You can't live a life filled with distraction and expect to live a life of purpose. And you can't also live a life of pure discipline, because where is the joy? Where is the joy? And to me, if you are, whatever it is you're doing, personal, professional, there needs to be joy in it. And if you're too disciplined and too rigid, you don't leave that room for joy.
Hmm. You know what pops in my head?
What?
You gotta plan your distractions too.
Yes. Yes.
But it's interesting when you think about, because you say you're a calendar person. And do
Mhm.
you plan on your calendar moments for distraction? Moments where you can wander. You can just wander off. And I like wandering. This is something that I used to do a lot when I was like living in Colorado. I used to get off in the woods and just wander away. Just take off, no plan, just me in the woods by myself, just walking. And it creates a lot of stuff in my head. Like I get to really like peel back things in my mind while I'm walking and just strolling in the woods. And it helps me a lot. So I'm like, all right, where you going? I'm just going by myself in the woods. There's gonna be a bear in there. For me, and it's gonna be me and the bear. But it doesn't matter. I don't get scared of going off by myself, wander off somewhere. But it helps me with clear my mind a lot. So sometimes I think planned distractions are good. I'm planning to be distracted for the next 2 hours. Don't mess with. Don't call me. I'll be distracted. But I'm just wondering.
I think that's really important. So I'm going to say my husband is a very spontaneous person.
Mm.
And for many years, I was quite the opposite of that. I didn't do well with spontaneity. I am very structured individual. I like to take calculated risk. I like to plan things out. When my son was younger and we went on a trip to Disney for the first time. It was a family trip to Disney. It was 7 days. And if you know me, I like to plan things. And so
Mm-hmm.
I created a itinerary for the 7 days in Disney. I had everything from the time you wake up, what we were doing, the cost of everything we were doing, when we would have meals. The only thing I don't think I put in there was what we were actually eating, but everything else was so planned out. And then I shared it with my family that was going on the trip with us. And I was like, this is the itinerary for Disney, 7 days. Whatever you'd like to do, you're welcome to join us, but this is what we're doing. Did that serve me? Yes, because we did everything. I created like the epic Disney trip for my son, and he was 7 years old. But it didn't leave room for spontaneous anything. And if perhaps I left that space for something that came up unexpectedly, something maybe I discovered when we were in Disney that I hadn't discovered before we were actually there, perhaps the trip could have been even better. And so I think that when I was able to, as I evolved and grew over the years, realize that yes, structure is important, but you can't overplan everything. You need to leave room for that spontaneous something. Generally, when you think about spontaneity, you think of joy. It generally brings you happiness. When somebody all of a sudden, it's not part of your day, somebody calls me in the middle of the day and is like, Jess, what are you doing? I'm always hesitant to answer what I'm doing. I'm always doing something. So I'm like, what are you doing? And so I want to hear what it is that they're going to offer me sometimes before I actually say. But I realized that if a friend calls me and want to grab some coffee at 8 a.m., I'm now of the mindset of yes. Why? Because as much as that wasn't planned in my day the day before, that coffee date with a friend, God only knows what's going to happen there, right? Maybe I'm going to get a brilliant idea having conversation with my friend, or maybe it's just time for me to be. Because I think that a lot of us, when we're driven by
Mm-hmm.
goals, people like you, people like me, people that have things that they want to achieve in their life, we don't always leave room for those unexpected coffee dates with a friend. We don't always leave room for the unexpected, do you want to grab lunch? We're so focused in that we don't see that those spontaneous things that bring us joy will also help fuel us to getting to the goals, to getting to the things that we want because we're well rounded. I think you can't have, and I'm going to say this a lot because I really believe it can't be one or the other only. It can't be a life of distraction or a life of discipline. There needs to be some equal medium of how you plan for distraction, I guess you could say, in your day, And I've blocked out there's some days in my calendar that I literally block out so that if other people have access to my calendar, they can't book me for, because those are my days of distraction. Those are my days of doing the things that bring me joy, whether it's spending time with friends and family, whether it's cooking, whether it's self-care. And I don't think enough people do that. You can't have that hustle and grind life every single day. I don't care who you are and what you want to do. It's just not healthy. Do you agree?
I agree to somewhat, because here's the thing too. There's another side to that piece as well. There's another side, because when you say you plan for all the things like in details, but here's something that we often do. We are planning so much that we're making sure that there's nothing bad that's going to happen. That's why we put all this plan together. I make sure I'm planning my whole day out, because there's no Murphy Law, they ain't going to show up in my life. But oftentimes, when you plan so much, it still happens, right? It still happens where the bad distraction shows up as well. Something pops in and it's like, oh man, I didn't expect this thing. It's a monkey wrench in my plan all day. But it does happen. So it doesn't matter how much you plan. When distraction hits, it could be good or it could be bad. Either way, you got to be able to respond to it, which comes back to oftentimes with discipline, we have the intention is set. But when distraction is like we're responding or we're reacting, so to speak, and we don't like to react when something is like a monkey wrench. Oh my God, I didn't get a plan for this. Well, guess what? You do have skill set though. When something unexpected happens, how you respond to it. And oftentimes we don't give ourselves credit for that because if I know this was coming, I would be ready, but I'm not ready. Actually, you are ready. You got some skills that you haven't used yet. Let's see what you do with that unexpected thing. And you get to learn about yourself in that moment.
I agree. You said respond. And that is the difference on how you perceive distraction. Murphy's Law happens all the time, in my opinion, almost daily. But again, not what's happening to me, but what's happening for me should be the response and how you deal with distraction. When you think about discipline and distraction, how do you build systems within your life, your day, your routine that gives you the structure to be able to understand and appreciate discipline as much as distraction? What if, yes, I want to plan out as much as possible. It doesn't always serve me because it doesn't leave me that room being too rigid when something happens unexpectedly. When my day changes because of something that's out of my control, right? How do I respond to it? Emotionally, physically? Do I shut down? Some people shut down. Some people shut down. Some people, like, they cannot move forward. They cannot process what's happening. And then what? It's like, okay, you can't sit there and I say have the pity party and cry and be like, okay, this wasn't the planned part of the day. My day went to hell. I can't do anything else. No, it's about leaning into the distraction, the Murphy's Law, whatever it is that happens, and figuring out how to get over it. Maybe what I had planned for today, I'm going to give you an example. Here we go. So I have had many a time where I have scheduled a meeting with somebody, a prospect, let's say, somebody that I am wanting to do business with. And so I've scheduled them in my calendar. They've agreed. We're going to meet at such and such location. The day comes, I go to the location, and they don't show up. Initially, when that used to happen to me, I used to almost shut down. I didn't realize, and when we're talking about building business, and I'm going to specifically say in the area of, let's say, network marketing, right? When we have people that don't show up on us, it's not a reflection of us. It's nothing that we did wrong, but most people instinctively gravitate to that. What did I do wrong? What did I say that was wrong? I now have come to the realization that when someone doesn't show up, when someone ghosts you, they're not answering your messages anymore, it's almost as if God is doing you a favor. He's helping you waste not waste your time. It's almost as if you should be thanking that person that didn't show up, thanking that person that ghosted you. And I know for some people, it may seem like, why would I thank somebody that ghosts me? Because they are already telling you before you even get anywhere near invested in doing anything with them that matters, that they're going to waste your time. They are not serious about the offer. They are not serious about the product or the service that you're having conversation with them about. They're not serious about the opportunity. They're not serious about their goals and what they want to achieve. And so while initially I thought those things of being stood up and being ghosted were distractions, they were really meant to serve me. They were really meant to show me, don't waste your time. You gave it a chance, right? I believe people give somebody a chance, give them an opportunity to show you that they are not worth your time before you cross them off the list. But not everyone has that mindset. And so you need the discipline and the discernment to know better so that you can do better. And it's never a reflection of you and who you are and that you lack discipline or that they are distracted from what it is that they say they want and what they're willing to do to get it. And so, yes, in that instance, the distraction was a disservice to them, but their distraction was a service to me.
There's a much storytelling time. Let's get some storytelling here. I really love what you said because you have that pathway about recognizing when somebody's not the right candidate for anything that you're working on because they're not ready right now. Right now, they're not ready. They don't have the skill to be disciplined, so forth and so on. But then the reality of discipline, it hits hard. I'm gonna give you an example. And when I was younger in Jamaica, I remember one day I came home from school and I came home, my mom was sick. Like, there's a lot to this, but I'm not gonna tell all the side of the story because people don't really get that part. But she got sick and she was like paralyzed half of her body. And I got home, I think she had my youngest brother at the time. And I got home, I was like, Mom, what's going on? You all right? She was like, I don't feel well. Go get your dad. I sent your sister go get your dad, but he hasn't showed up yet. I was like, oh, snap. So I left and I ran a couple of miles. I ran straight to where my dad was at the restaurant. My sister got there. She got distracted to deliver the message. But as soon as she saw me showing up, she remembers, oh, Mom is sick, need to show up. Now, how did she forget? I don't know. But I'm saying your distraction is real, and sometimes they show up in different ways. But she got distracted on the way to deliver the message. And it was an emergency message. So sometimes the distraction is real. And you don't know how you got distracted, but you got distracted. And somebody like, hey, you're being distracted right now. What are you supposed to be doing? Oh my God, I'm supposed to be on this task. How many times I have go from one tab to the next and forget where I left the first tab because the other tab was open on my computer. I'm like, God damn, what is that? What? I was supposed to do something here. But it's real, my friend. I understand some of the folks that have this distraction problem. But in the end, what you got to find yourself, you got to find people that are less distracted than you to keep you accountable, to help you get stuff done. That's why I communicate with a lot of people sometimes. Like, hey, hold me accountable. She said, oh, Asher, I need this thing by April. Okay, now I got just going to remind me, right? Because we need to remind more than we need to educate. Asher, make sure you get that thing done, right? Because sometimes we need it as well. For the folks that are easily distracted like me, what are your thoughts?
I think that when we talk about people that are easily distracted, sometimes, so I work with a lot of creative people, a lot of creative people that have businesses, but aren't always business savvy or business mindset because it's the creativity of the work that they're doing that kind of ignites their soul on fire. And so because of that, they don't realize the importance of the discipline in the business aspect of running their business. They're so focused in on their actual thing, that their talent that they have. Right? And so me reeling them in and be like, you have a talent that most people could never dream about. But if this is going to be a sustainable business and not a hobby and not something that you do when you feel like doing, you need to equally focus on the discipline of the business part of it. because that's the only way you're going to scale and grow. That's the only way that you're going to go from good to great, from more to even more next level. And I think that when you realize that when you're a part of the community, when you have accountability, when you have people that depend on what you're doing to do their part of a project, a job, work, that you realize that your actions, your and inactions, because perhaps distraction came on in, like your sister, have bigger like ramifications. And I think that, again, the motivation is never money, but the motivation for you, for us right now, for what we have that we're going to do on April 27th, that's me helping you stay on track with your goals. That's me helping you realizing that these things that we've been working on that are about to create greatness, not just for us, but for the people that we serve and the community that we're building, time is of the essence. People have a lot of great ideas. When I tell you, I come across some brilliant human beings that have ideas I could have never come up with, but they don't have the discipline to turn those ideas that are in their head into something real and tangible, because they are enamored by the next shiny thing that comes along. You can't start something and not finish it. You cannot. To me, you just wasted your time. To me, you wasted my time. To me, you let down the community. To me, you let down the people that need what you have by not finishing it. So the discipline of being able to follow through, where the words and the actions align, where it's not always easy, where you're tired and you want to go to sleep, but you need to have the discipline to stay up and just get it done. You have to have enough discipline to not continue to say tomorrow, because then tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow never comes. You can't be paralyzed by fear of failure, because to me, fear is just for a moment, because failure is part of the success. But regret lasts a lifetime. Regret lasts a lifetime. And to live a life of regret is to not live life. So it's like staying true to the discipline that's required to turn those ideas into real life, but also allowing room for the distraction, for the brilliance of the next idea that's going to be sparked. It's a hard balance. It's a hard balance, but community and accountability is what helps you. So I'm a Libra. And so the astrology sign is the scale. When I'm off balance, everyone in the planet knows. The whole world knows I'm off balance. Don't get me hangry, because that's not a nice version of Jess. And people that are watching this that have seen me hangry, they're like, yeah, no, don't get her hangry. But balance is big in my life. And the fact that I have community of people that call me out, that help keep me on track, that reminds me that joy is just as important as achieving success and finding those moments in life. I think that ultimately when we're talking about, and I know we have to wrap up soon, but ultimately when we know we're talking about wanting more, doing more, being of service, looking to be better and do better every day, that discipline is part of that formula. But joy, and in my opinion, distraction allows for you to have that joy, is just as equally as important. So how do you help people find that balance? I truly believe that's where community comes in.
There is one framework called the Colby framework. I did it, and it has one called the quick start, the fact finder, the implementer, and the follow through. And on that scale, I was big on quick start, right? I'm jumping into things right away because I'm a shiny object kind of guy, right? But then also there was another part of it where it connects me to where I'm a pretty good follow through as well. But implementer and fact finder was not my thing. I'll score very low on that. And I realized what it is because I would jump in before I find the facts and I figure out the facts while I'm in it. Some people, they got to find the facts before they jump in it, which I think you might be one of those persons.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings me back to this. And you're also a great implementer, I would say. So I think when I thought about it, I was like, I see why justice is in my life. Because yes, I need room for creativity, but also sometimes I need somebody to help me keep me on track because I would go create a new thing, another new thing because I love creating. And I got to side with you when you say you have a lot of brilliant people you come across. And there's a reason why, because you attract them. And they're attracted to you because they know without your skill set, they would never get the idea to life, which is a very important skill to have. So I just want to congratulate you, lady, for finding your kind of people because you got to surround yourself with geniuses because they need people that going to keep them accountable. They get the thing done. And with that, we can close out.
Yes. I think in the next 24 hours, I'm going to challenge our audience to find one moment to become or be more disciplined in a particular area of their life, and one moment to embrace distraction, to allow the room and space for creativity and joy that's unplanned, spontaneous, that serves you to be able to fuel you to remain disciplined to what it is that you want. I think that when we find that balance, that we are that much closer to achieving the greatness that God has destined for us in our life. When we surround ourselves with a community of people that spark our brilliance, hold us accountable, and push us to be greater than what we could have ever imagined because they believe in what we have to offer the world, we're that much ahead in the game of life.
Mm. And if you hear this, check the show notes. That's where you can get the content to find us. And with that, friend, make it an utterly fantastic day. The real question is, are you choosing discipline or are you being chosen by distraction?
You can't be either or. You can't live a life filled with distraction and expect to live a life of purpose. And you can't also live a life of pure discipline because where is the joy? Where is the joy? You can't have that hustle and grind life every single day. I don't care who you are and what you want to do. It's just not healthy. Regret lasts a lifetime. And to live a life of regret is to not live life. I think in the next 24 hours, I'm going to challenge our audience to find one moment to become or be more disciplined in a particular area of their life, and one moment to embrace distraction, to allow the room and space for creativity and joy that's unplanned, spontaneous, that serves you to be able to fuel you to remain disciplined to what it is that you want.